Hey guys, here we are, Monday again, live streaming, and again, my new streaming platform. They got me reading these fucking things. All things mafia, prison porn, reform, mafia news station,
Wow.
uncensored, the best stuff you can get, and scratch the thing, no porn. Well, no more porn.
Someone's getting fired.
Somebody's getting fired. So,
What's up, Sammy?
nothing. I mean, we had a couple of good days, a couple of rough days. Today I had a little bit of a rough day, few little bullshits going on. I'll tell you about it later. I had a news reporter on my back today. So we had a friendly, you call it friendly? Friendly conversation. And when the conversation was over, was going like this, holding them out, and she says, Sammy, don't sugarcoat it. Tell it like you feel. So I got into it a little bit. They'll probably rip me a new ass. But it is what it is, bro. You know, the social media, I love it. I love it because of you guys. You're loyal, you're great, you joke, you laugh. You send envelopes, you do all different kinds of things to make me love you. So I love social media, but there's parts of it that but I'm used to it. I'm numb already. So I'm going to light my cigar and let some questions roll.
Thank you, Sammy. Hey, everybody. Okay, we're going to get started with last week's questions. First of all, give shout outs to Johnny Fisheyes, Count Interrogation, your number one source, and Hasbro Gaming. They gave you envelopes last week. We got to shout them out.
Great. I just said that and great. I got one question. Johnny Fisheyes, bro. You know, I know in the mob, we make up names for everybody. But I got to see a picture of you because somebody made that name up for you, Johnny Fish Eyes. That's a great name. I would imagine, you know, some people goof. It's not a goof to us. We laugh. We make fun of each other in the mob. So it's not a put down. But I would love to see your picture, bro.
Okay, let's get started with the questions. The first question we have, Sammy, is from Buffalo Dave. Hi, Sam. Did you ever visit or have business here in Buffalo, New York?
No, I never went to Buffalo. It's a little too far up. We had relationships with the Buffalo family a little bit, but never. The only time I met face-to-face with the Buffalo family, I met with the boss right after the Castellano hit. John sent me down to talk to him because there was a newspaper article that came out and said that Joe Tadero, who was the boss, was going to kill John. And I went to a meeting with him. I talked with him. He didn't like the meeting, I don't think, because he said, you know, tell John, that's bullshit. It's in the news. I didn't say that. And I said, listen, we know that. If John thought it was true, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. You'd probably be dead already. I don't really think he liked it. Then I met with his son, who was the underboss. That's the one where we walked in the water to stay, make sure we weren't bugged. And but they were good people, really good people. So.
Okay, we have Pete. I think it's Garay from Chicago. Any stories on Sam Momo Giacana?
Well, Sam Giacana, there's so many stories, and I'm going to talk about them. Part of it, I'm doing a little expose about the Kennedy hit. He was one of the main guys. He was one of the main guys involved. There was a lot of guys, a lot of people, not only the mafia, CIA. I'm not going to talk about that now, but I will at time. But Sam Giacana was a real tough guy, a man's man. Fucked around with Marilyn Monroe a little bit. His girlfriend, he shared his girlfriend with the President of the United States. What was her name again?
Edith Wexler or Exner. Judith Exner.
Judith Exner. Yeah. She was drop dead gorgeous. Then he went out with one of the McGuire sisters and he got a little hung up on her. So there's a ton of information about him. At the end, they whacked him. Too much public exposure, dressing up, shit that Gotti did, dressing up, fucking around with broads, getting in the newspaper all the time. We don't do that then. People may think it's fashionable, it was good. The mafia was dead against that kind of shit. So, and he got killed. He saved a lot of people too. He was a good guy. I thought he was everything. I didn't know him personally, but everything I heard about him, I just heard really good things about him all the time.
Okay, next one is Chris Laverick. Hey Sammy, love the show. Quick question. Is an associate impervious to mob laws such as drug dealing and retiring from the life?
Well, if you're an associate, you can retire from the life. No, you didn't take the oath. You can go drug deal somewhere else, but not around the guy. If you're with me and I was a maid guy, I tell you don't deal drugs, and you deal drugs, it was against our rules. You could get whacked for that. There's times I did whack people for that, and there's times I kind of just reprimanded them, and sometimes I chased somebody. Listen, you're with the wrong crew. Go to another crew. You could do that. They're drug dealers. Not with me. I already told you, promised me you wouldn't do it. If you're going to keep doing it, this is the wrong place for you. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. Franz Marks. Sam, do you remember Sam and Angelo Pagano?
Angelo Pagano. That name is stuck in my head. I can't picture them right now. I know the name. Matter of fact, there was, I think, another one named Danny Pagano.
Yeah, I was about to ask that one next because Louis Zell asked, do you know Daniel Pagano?
Yeah, I knew a Danny Pagano, yes. And they're probably all related. I don't remember exactly who they were with. I know the name is there. I just can't picture the face and where they were right now. But I know them. I know the Pagano family, yes.
Okay. Rory Mitchell asks, Sammy, did you ever meet Dion DiMucci from Dion and the Belmonts?
No.
Okay. Tia-Decipher, what is your favorite memory or benefit from back in the day? And what is your favorite story from back then as well? Grazie.
My favorite memory. Well, like I said, I had favorite memories. I'll talk about this real quick. I got married. It was a great day. I had children. They were great days. But mob-wise, the day I got made, to me, was a great day. I looked up to these people like they were gods. When I became a maid guy, I felt I was in heaven with them. So I became one of them. That was a great day. And what was the other one?
What's your favorite story from back then? So favorite memory or benefit from back in the day? And what is your favorite story? So talk about your favorite story.
I got so many stories.
Your favorite memory.
I don't know my favorite one. There's so many favorite ones. There's a lot of them. My favorite stories, I'll put it this way, were good times when I had fun with friends, people, men, women, respect, all those things. Those were beautiful times. I don't look at a hit as a beautiful time in my life. They're brutal. They're part of the life. It's not my favorite thing, like I would say the Castellano hit is my favorite hit, or this hit, Johnny Keys. No, none of those things are favorite to me. But the favorite times is we had a lot of fun, a lot of times, like Fish Eyes. We would joke with people, give them nicknames and stuff like that, and play. We really had great times. We had, when Christmas came, our families were together. 4th of July parties, we were together. So many different times. So there's so many favorite days and so many favorite stories. I don't even know where to start, but I had a lot of great times on the good days. When I say good days, I don't mean just dangerous days or stuff like that. No. I mean, I did those days as part of the life. They weren't my favorite days.
Okay. Ed, hey Sammy, if you started a new family with the other ex-mobsters on YouTube with you as boss, who would you have on your administration?
On my administration, I don't even know. Here's the question: should have been, if I started a new family with the people who are out here, right? Who would get whacked first? Who was on these fucking programs? Who's fucking full of shit? Who would I whack in their fucking head first? I think I would be very busy. If 19 hits is like nothing compared to what I would do now, I think.
Okay, last one. Steve Jackson. Hey, Sammy, complex question. When that guy killed Stymie and Paul told you to hold up until he had a meeting or talk to someone, but you still went after the shooter, wouldn't Paul have been furious you disobeyed him?
I didn't disobey him. I went to Tato. I went to Paul. There was meetings that took place. And I'm going to tell you one infamous meeting we had. Paul called everybody in, captains, Frankie DeChico, John Gotti, Tato, me, Jimmy Brown. It was a meeting, and Paul said that we knew who the person was. And they had him propose to become a made guy. He was a steroid freak, half a junkie. And he said, are we willing to go to war with the Colombo family if they refuse us this hit? He said, Sammy, don't answer. I already know what your answer is. He asked Tato, and Tato said yes. He asked John. John said yes. Frankie DeChico said yes. He asked Jimmy Brown, and Jimmy Brown told him, Paul, whatever you want, whatever. Frankie DeChico exploded. His fucking veins were sticking away. He didn't ask you that. He asked you, are you willing to go to fucking war? He killed Sammy's brother. He was proposed with us. Open your fucking mouth like a man. Paul told Frankie, calm down, stop it, calm down. He said, Jimmy, Frankie's right. I didn't ask you that bullshit if you got my back or anything like that. I asked you, are you willing to go to war? He looked at me. I had fire coming out of my eyes, for sure. He looked at Frankie and he said, yes, I'm willing. So we had a meeting Paul set up with Andrew Mush, who was the acting boss. He said, Sammy, you're going to go to the meeting. Don't talk. You're too hot. Let Frankie do the talking. When we were at that meeting, they recognized what this guy did. He did something to another bar that same night with the Genovese people were on fire about this kid. And he said, the kid owes me $90,000. Could you give me time? $90,000? I interrupted him. I was not supposed to talk. I said, I'll give you the $90,000 tomorrow. Give me this fucking kid. And what are you going to do? I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to chop him in 20 fucking pieces and throw him all over Brooklyn so everybody knows you will kill one of my fucking people. This is what I'll do to you. I says, no matter who I see him with, I'm going to kill him and whoever the fuck is with him. I don't give a fuck who they are. Hey, Sammy, Frankie turned around and said, you heard him right. As soon as we get him, we'll kill him. If there's friends in there, that's your problem. And they killed him on their own, and they buried him on a beach in Staten Island. Matter of fact, a couple of guys who were at the murder, I was in prison with them. I don't want to get into too deep of that story. I'll be here a half hour with it. But I didn't do it without permission, but I was prepared to. I was fucking fuming. He killed Stymie for nothing.
Okay, thank you for that, Sammy. Okay, so that's all for last week's questions, guys. As usual, please be respectful in the comments section. And I am going to pass it over to you, Anna.
Thank you. Hi, Sammy. Hi,
Hey.
Love Bug. We have an envelope from Carlos Medina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos.
Shout out. Anthony Casso. Sammy, your thoughts on cartels and the way they do things?
Well, the cartels, I mean, they have a lot of tough guys, a lot of good guys. They have a completely different policy. They're too kill crazy. And it doesn't do any good for them or anybody else. When somebody cooperates to give them a lesson, teach them a lesson, they kill his whole family. We're dead against that. And I'm dead against it, personally. What did the guy's wife do or his kids do? It's fucking disgusting. Nobody will ever love you. You do shit like that. And so we had a lot more rules, a lot more restriction, a lot more morals and scruples. The cartels are a different group. I don't want to knock them, but whatever they do, they do. Right now, supposedly you hear about it. They're moving fucking fentanyl through the borders. I don't think the mafia would do that. I really don't. Because we would be killing hundreds of thousands of people. We don't want our name attached to shit like that. Even though we can kill. We kill each other when you break rules. Sometimes it's out of the realm of that. But we don't do stuff like that. We even have a rule about using bombs. In my era, you weren't allowed to use bombs, even though Frankie the Chico was killed by a bomb. That's definitely a no-no. Because you could hurt legitimate people. We were against hurting legitimate people. I think that's why we lasted so long. I think they're still around. Not as strong as they were, not the same, but there's still guys around. I don't know. The cartels, they have different rules. I'm not going to talk for them. They do what they want to do. They take whatever heat. I will tell you this. If a guy is mentioned in a trial, he gets arrested, and that he's a cartel guy, I don't give a fuck if he's innocent. He's going to be found guilty because people hate you. So that's what you're doing to yourself. You got nobody to blame but yourself for things like that. So I'm not into none of that bullshit. I don't agree with it. I did know cartel guys. I was in prison with a lot of cartel guys. Some of them are decent guys, just like everybody else. Tough guys. They're not all like that, but they got that label. They should stop. The guys who conduct themselves that way, they themselves should stop it. It's not helping them.
Yeah, thank you, Sammy. JB Weld in the super chat. Any dealings with Neil De La Croce's son, and was he a tough guy?
Neil De La Croce's son, I don't think he was a tough guy. He had a beef with one of Tato's guys, Joey Francolino. Joey Francolino beat the shit out of him. We went down. There was a sit down about it. We straightened it out. He took off, I think, at one time. I think he was on drugs. And I'm not sure, but I think he got killed. I'm not sure if he got killed. But I never seen hide or hair of him no more. Neil put him on the side. He wasn't a real good dude. So that's all I'll say about him.
Okay. Fair enough, Sammy. AR-15 aim point in the super chat. Sammy, if you were president tomorrow morning, what is the first 3 things you would do? And be serious. Thank you.
The first things I would do, now it's going to sound weird coming from a gangster, but all of these people, if this fucking drugs, and I don't mean drugs, I mean the shots and all of that stuff. If this was all a scummy plan and what's going on, what I see today, I would put them in jail. Some of them, the ones who are doing these things with kids, I'm doing a program about it, I would kill these motherfuckers in plain English. Because this is beyond any kind of gangster stuff. This is beyond anything. I don't care what race you are, what religion you are, what nationality you are, whether you're a man or a woman. This is about what kind of a fucking human being are you? You know, if you're a tough guy like the cartels or you're a tough guy in the mafia, that's one thing. But killing innocent people, men, women, and children to make money, to have sex with kids at 8 or 9 years old, Epstein's Island and all that shit, I would come after you, bro. If I was the president, I would put you away or bury you. I mean, So those are things I would really do first, and then I would try to straighten out the country the best I can. Listen, if I was the president, I would say, how much do they get? $350,000 a year, I think. I would say I would declare I'm going to make $2 million a year, and untaxed. I could live on that big time. So nobody's going to bribe me. Nobody's going to do nothing, and I don't need your fucking money. So I would do things to help the country. Pay him more, even though they don't need it, but pay him more and do things for the people. Listen, I even thought about taking over. There's a Republican Party and a Democratic Party. The Independent Party is almost empty. If I wasn't on parole, and I'm going to even ask this question with a lawyer, can I take that over? Can I run and take that over? And I would change the name to the Independent People's Party. And I would do things that were good for the country. Now, I'm going to maybe sound hypocritical, but we're sending billions of dollars to Ukraine every fucking week. Tanks, planes, money, everything. You go to LA, you go to Chicago. There was, this last weekend, 27 kids were shot, people, mostly all black, were shot. I don't know how many of them died, but 27 people in one weekend. New York is a disaster. Homeless is a disaster all over. Why would I keep sending money to Ukraine? Why, this country's not important? There's somebody, the vice president for Trump, Pence, this guy Pence, is now running for the presidency. Tucker Carlson did an interview with him, and he said, you want to send more tanks and more money to Ukraine? He said, yes. That's the right thing to do. It's humane. We have to stop Russia. So he says, well, what about this country? He says, that's not important. Not important? And this fucking guy is running for the presidency? We're not important. So the people in Ukraine, I feel sorry for them, but we're important. Those 27 people who got shot in Chicago are important. Black lives matter. White lives matter. All lives matter. So something's got to be done in this country with the drugs, the trafficking of kids, the sexual abuse that's going on. There's so many things I would tackle, go after as a president. And I would be very public about it. I don't know how long you would last. I think that's what Trump did, and that's why they want to bury him. They don't want him to be president because he knows what time it is, and he's going after these fucking people and these things. That's why they really fear him. And if they would be afraid of him, they'd be a lot more afraid of me if I was the president. But I'm not going to be the president, so...
I'm going to follow that up with a message from Billy. I hope I don't butcher this name. Billy Leccione. He is saying this about the bullpen episode where you're speaking about all of these current events, the child trafficking with Michael Vecchione and Jay Dyer. And Billy's saying, I'm really appreciative of the work that you're doing, Sammy. We so desperately need people now to speak up and not be afraid to be silenced. And no one can do it better than you. I absolutely fucking love it. Thank you for what you do. And it's honestly gotten me through a lot of tough times over the past year.
Well, thank you, Billy. That's why I read this thing. I went on to ourthing.tv. We can say what we want to say, the truth. Unfortunately, right now, if you say the truth, you say some of these things, live stream, they'll shut you down, they'll do this, they'll do that, they'll come after you. I talk about this on out and out on every subject, and I've been crusading this thing about drugs. The information I'm now getting about this child molestation, we're keeping the border open. Now, that's a humane thing. It's not a humane thing. They're doing that for votes. But what happens is they're taking those kids right off coming through the border. They disappear.
85,000 children in the past 2 years.
Are not accounted for and missing. 85,000 kids. This government cannot account for. Now, if that's not a reason to close the border and tighten everything up, I don't know what is. Then nothing means nothing anymore. We're destined, and if we don't say something, it'll get to a point where it's too late. If we don't stick together and we don't say something now, we're finished. And I'm going to talk to all my black brothers and sisters out there, people. I know tons of you from prison. I've been on all kinds of shows, Gangster Chronicles, Glaze, Brian Glaze, Fat Man Scoop, on and on and on and on. I'm doing a few more interviews. Bro, they got us arguing about black and white while they're doing all this shit. These are cover-ups. So let's stick together. Don't let them keep getting away with this. As soon as they get the little heat, they do all kinds of things and start all kinds of arguments. So I agree this has to be stopped.
Absolutely. I have a super chat from Ryan Brown. He was talking about last week about his cousin was in an abusive relationship, and he was asking for some advice, and he's saying that he has to go to a family birthday party and that abuser is going to be there, and do you have any advice for him on how to handle situations like that?
This is a guy who abused your wife?
Abusing his cousin.
Abused his cousin. It's a tough situation because you don't want to destroy your whole family in this thing. Just sit quietly, enjoy your family, make sure nothing happens. Don't you be the one to make it happen. Just stare at him. Nod every once in a while. We'll see each other someday. Someday we'll see each other. But keep the peace within your family. That's more important. If you do something, the guy, if he did the wrong thing like that, deserves your wrath, but not there. Not there. It's the same thing when we were talking about killing Castellano. Somebody had come up with an idea. We can go right in the house. But we're not killing him in front of his wife and kids. We're not doing things like that. Just like I said about the cartels, we're not including families and people. I'm telling you the same thing. The worst thing you can do is do something at a family function. If it's that distasteful to you, don't go. Don't go. But hold your temper if you do go. Bite your lip. Go outside, smoke a cigar, take a deep breath, relax. Get through the night. And then you tell your wife or one of your family members, I can't stomach this guy from what he did. Because you got to get it out a little bit, but get it out that way. You didn't cause a whole hoopla in the family. So that's my advice. Or don't go. If you can't handle it, don't go.
It's good advice. It's good advice because then you turn the abuser into the victim.
Right. Right.
JB Weld, any good stories about Joe the cat? He doesn't look like a tough guy.
Well, choking. He wasn't a tough guy with his hands, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't shoot you in your fucking head. And he was involved in doing work. Joe the cat was more of a money guy anyway. He had the numbers rackets and stuff like that in Staten Island before they built the bridge. When they built the bridge, he owned that whole area. So money-wise, he became very big. His sons, comes from a family, all of his sons were tough guys, good guys. One of them got made. A couple of them did a piece of work. I was there, not there when they did it. It's the guy who tried to kill John Gotti. They caught him. They brought him to Staten Island. They put him in Joe the Cat's luncheonette in the basement. Tortured him to try to find out why he shot at John Gotti. He was just a religious nut. And they ordered Joe Watts, shot him. They killed him. And they called me in because the next day the cops actually found the body in the store, in the basement. And I was involved at that point, not before, but at that point. And they were good people. And Joe the Cat was a real good guy. Ornery little bastard. I mean, he wasn't tough with his hands. You can give him a slap and probably knock him out. But, you know, people who'll use a gun, you don't slap. You know, if you're going to hurt somebody, a tough guy, hurt him. But don't, just because you're physically bigger or stronger, don't give a tough guy a beating. He's got to come back and blow your fucking head off. So, but he wasn't a bad guy. He was a good guy. I had a good relationship with him. He's got daughters and people. They're friends with my daughter. They're friends with my family, personal family. And so they were good people. He was a good guy.
Nice. That's awesome. Thank you. Rick Morris in the super chat with a nice weekly envelope for you, Sammy.
Thank you, Rick.
Also, shout out to a self-proclaimed your #1 Dutch fan from Holland, Floyd.
All right, Loyal. #1 fan. That's a pretty good title.
Let's see. In the regular chat, we have Robert Garino. Sammy the Bull, remember me? I was the fastest and best bartender, Bobby Quick.
I know, I remember you. And Bobby, if it's you, the right guy, you worked in the Plaza Suite for a while, and you would fling out drinks. You were a great bartender, and I do remember you. And like I said, I know where you worked. When we had the Plaza Suite, you were there. We were friends. You're a great guy. I'm glad to hear that you're still alive and good.
That's awesome. I don't know how you remember all this, Sammy.
Well, I know the guy. He worked for me in the joint. He was a good guy, stand-up guy, working bars. And I mean, he would wait on 3-4 customers, glasses, throwing them around, boom, boom, boom. He was known for that.
Wow. That's cool. Okay, Juan Stevens. Why didn't Chin get killed for botching the hit on Frank Costello? Many other guys have gotten killed for botching hits. And I hope you guys see this question because I really want to know.
Well, it's not that you botched the hit. In a way, they shot him in the head. But the bullet, didn't go through. It didn't hit the brain. I got hit in the head, in the back of the head. The bullet, when it hit my skull, it kind of veered off. Frank Costello, I think he got hit in the front, and it went through the top, but it didn't hit the brain. And he immediately stepped down and quit the mob. And so Vito Genovese gave Chin the order to do it. So botching the hit. On the Castellano hit, one of the shooters, his gun jammed, but he stood there the whole time. Didn't run, didn't do nothing. But he couldn't shoot, his gun jammed. John, for a while, was talking about killing them, and I had told John, he didn't run away, he stood there until everybody moved, just like we said. Now, we're going to kill him because the gun jammed? Or a thing got botched? A guy made an attempt. Sometimes things happen. You got to find out why. And otherwise you kill crazy. You're going to just kill everybody who botched the hit? Who's going to ever want to go on a hit? So,
Fair enough. This one is from rthing.tv, from Jason. The Castellano hit was very public and high profile. It drew a lot of attention, and John was an egomaniac. If you got the chance to go back in time and plan the hit again, would you plan it differently, maybe more low-key and less public?
No, definitely not, no. I think it was the most well-planned hit. Every day I planned the hit. There was crowds, cops on every corner. I thought that would all work in our favor. The mass amount of people running, screaming, confusion, and time said it worked perfectly. None of us, we all got away, none of us got caught, up until Angelo and John opening their mouth and getting caught on tape. So it worked perfectly. It was so notorious of a hit, there was no war. The other crime families were afraid to come at us. There was a couple of hits that took place. Frankie the Chico, Eddie Lino, a couple of guys on our side got killed. But I don't think it could have been planned any better. And when you look at it now, history tells you it's one of the biggest and most important hits that ever took place. And I planned it. So, do I think it could have been any other way? No. Something was brought out about in his house, because we're allowed to go in his house. He wouldn't even question it. And again, we had said, no, we're not going to kill him in his house in front of his wife and children, or we're not doing it. So it took a lot of planning. It took us almost 8 months of planning from when we first started the conversations to the actual murder. It took about 8 months. I was at my niece's, some sort of a party in October, and I went on the lam with Frankie. We lived together in Joe Watts's had a house that was a mansion. He had a maid's quarters. He got rid of the maid. We lived in the maid's quarters in the basement. Me, Frankie the Chico, Frankie Botts. Joe Watts lived upstairs. It was his house. And we didn't do it for 2.5 months. We lived in the basement because we were afraid. There were so many people knew. We were afraid it was going to leak out and we were going to get hit. So we just lived down, and Frankie said, when we stay here, don't tell the crew what's going on. But if anybody's looking for you for a meeting on Tuesday at 10 o'clock, let your crew make an excuse. If somebody's looking for me at the same day, same time, then they know, and we're going to get hit. The war is on. But we'll do it from this basement. And we were fully armed in that basement at all times. So, wow. No, I don't think I would have planned it any different, to be honest with you.
And you guys had walkie-talkies in the car, right?
I had a walkie-talkie. The guys in the street had a walkie-talkie, and there was a guy across the street who gave a signal. Now, look, they had 100 witnesses, the FBI and cops, and they got 100 different stories. Only one, a hooker, said that she saw Joe Watts, but she didn't know it was Joe Watts. She thought it was John Gotti on the street giving orders. It was me getting in touch with them, and they were giving orders. It wasn't even John Gotti.
It's always the fucking hooker.
Always the hooker, bro. She can't shut him out.
I saw everything. Okay, Jerome is asking, Sammy, do you have any contacts with any former agents? Frank and Maddie particularly. A podcast with them would be crazy.
It would. I do have contact with a ton of agents and cops. A lot of them got to like me, and they talk to me. Frank and Maddie are both up in age. They're in the they were much older than me. They were well into their 80s. Maddie's not well, still alive, and I still have contact with him. All the holidays and everything, we wish each other and our families things. George Gabriel was the head of the C-16 squad. He was the head of the squad that indicted us. I still have a relationship with him. There's many, many people on ourthing.com. I'm doing these stories. I'm talking there. It was Michael Vecchione. He was a prosecutor, the head of organized crime stuff. He's on my show with Dana and myself and a guy named
Jay Dyer.
Jay Dyer, an intellect, very, very smart guy, researcher, talented guy. And if you watch that show, we're all together. So I'm in touch with a lot of law enforcement, some state police. Tommy Days, he was NYPD in the Organized Crime Strike Force. There's even a guy there, Phil Grimaldi, just reached me. I did an interview with them on their show a year ago. He saw our interview on our thing.tv, and he would love to come on and interview. He knows Michael Vecchione very well, and so I'm in touch with a lot of them. Listen, I have nothing against cops or agents anymore. Did when I was younger. I didn't really hate them. I hate guys who corrupt. They use their power and if you got a problem with me, come and shoot me. Don't want to put me in fucking jail. Like I heard, what the fuck was his name there? Giuliani. He got on a program. I wish I could put Sammy away for 100 years. Piece of shit. Come down and do something like a man. You want to put me in jail 100 years. That's a man. You're like a bitch. So, whatever.
Absolutely. JB Weld in the super chat. My grandpa used to say the answer to drug dealers and gangbangers was Glock therapy. It has zero recidivism. I like that, JB. That's good.
Yeah, a Glock is a powerful gun, and I understand exactly what he's saying. Probably my whole audience knows what he's saying too, because they're all, they understand the life. They understand what they're listening to. So I agree with you, pal.
Xavier James, why'd Angelo never go to prison during the 80s with his drug case? Could he possibly have been a CI?
No, I doubt it. I don't look at Angelo. He's too dumb. He wasn't a CI. No, not at all. He just got caught because he was dumb. And I don't ever think he got to that point. Then he got cancer. He did go away with John on the murder of an Irish guy in a bar in Staten Island. The guy who kidnapped Carlo Gambino's grandson or somebody like that. He went away for a while. I don't know. I don't recall if he went away more than that. But sometimes guys, go through life and they don't get caught. It depends, but it was surprising that his mouth, Angelo Quack Quack. I mean, John used to say, listen, you get the phone book, you could open up to any page, put your finger on the name, call them up and say, did you hear from Angelo? And the guy would say, yeah, I heard about him.
That's hilarious. Okay, let's see. Goomba. Bro, I heard your interview with Diane Sawyer. What's wrong with Montana? You'd like it here, Sammy. Come up here and I'll take you to Yellowstone and check out the mountains. There's some heavy hitters up here too, bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my interview with Diane Sawyer was great. And he wanted to take me up to the mountains and do what? I didn't catch that part.
Yellowstone. He was saying Yellowstone's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Check out the mountains.
It is beautiful. They have those gushes that come up and blow up.
Oh, the geysers.
The geysers and stuff like that. It is beautiful. Listen, I love, I owned the farm when I was in the mom. I love that life. I love horses. I love, we had chickens, we had horses, we had all kinds of things. I had a ball. Me and my family loved that fucking farm. I lost it on a tax evasion case. And I either would lose my house in Staten Island or the farm. I had to get rid of the farm. It broke my wife cried like a baby when we gave up that farm. And to me, I like that kind of life. I go, see, like now when my team says, well, I'm busy all the time. Why don't you want to do something? I would love to go up in the mountains, do a little fishing, a little hunting, make a fire, have my dog running around. I like that life. I'm not like John Gotti. I'm not a fancy Dan and want to run around with 1,500 broads. 1,000 broads is enough. And,
$14.99.
$14.99 is enough. But I love that kind of life. It's really good. I went away with wives, girlfriends, and things like that. Those were always great times, believe it or not, because we just had pure fun. Walking, going out, the sun, just great times. Great times. So I like that. I would love to come there, bro.
It's awesome. El Gato in the super chat. Salute, Sammy. What was John Gotti's favorite cuss word? I heard a recording that he was saying the dumpski or something like that.
Dunsky?
Something.
Yeah, he was on tape. I know the tape you're talking about, and he was yelling at somebody. The wife, he got on the phone and he talked to the wife, and he asked to talk to the husband. And he must have been going like this to the wife. And she says he's not home. So she lied to John. And he knew. He found out. So when he called the guy up and he was blasting the guy, he says, I'll come and kill you and your fucking Dunsky wife. A Dunsky, years ago, they would actually call a maid guy a Dunsky. A Dunsky, a button guy. They had different names for him. You know, they changed it from time to time because you knew the feds were always listening. So a lot of times, like we would say, Nazambique. Nazambique was Paul. He had a big nose. So we would say, Nazambique. Did you see Nazambique? Yeah, I seen him the other day. Or like Louis DeBona, we were going to kill him. We started calling him Jelly Belly because he had a big fat belly. And the government, they even heard a tape about killing Jelly Belly. And they asked when I cooperated, who's that? I says, well, that was Louis DeBona. Oh, well, that wasn't his name or nothing. Yeah, I said, but we knew you guys were listening all the time, so we gave him a nickname. We were about to kill him, so we made up a name for him. Fish Eyes, bro. That's how you get names. That's how you get these fucking names.
That's so true. Carlos Medina in the super chat. No question, just an idea. The John tapes from the Ravenite are very intriguing, but really hard to understand. Maybe you can give us context to paint the picture.
Say that one more time, sorry.
That's okay. It's not a question, just an idea that the John Gotti tapes from the Ravenite are really intriguing, but they're hard to understand. Maybe you can give us context to paint the picture.
Yeah, well, some things on the tapes, it were true. Some things were not true because like the things he was saying about me, he was trying to get a word out that I was killing all these people and taking over all these things. He was trying to get that message out to the captains. So when he's saying that to Frankie, it sounds like that I was doing those things. John wanted that out because he wanted to tame me down. My reputation was flying high. You know, the worst thing a narcissist hates is that somebody outshines him. And John felt two things, I noticed for sure. One, he hated the fact that I was getting more attention than him. In the street, not publicly, in the street. And two, my power was growing. I think he was starting to become a little afraid of me. I think he's on tape saying he could take me out and take over in one day. So these conversations, you know, that I heard later, you know, they all have meaning to them. So.
Let's see here. JB Weld back in the super chat. Hey, JB. Did Joe Bonanno still run anything in Arizona, or did he mostly go legit?
No, he ran a few things in Arizona. You know, the funny thing is, when I got out of prison after my first bit with John, and I had cooperated, I came to, you know, I went in the program for 8 months, and I came to Arizona. He's caught talking to his son, Salvatore Bonanno, and another maid guy who was a cooperator, and the government was listening to the whole tape. And he wanted to set up an appointment with me, and he wanted to have some kind of rapport, some kind of a conversation. And his son said, why do we want to talk with him? He's a rat. His father says, you're never going to learn. I don't give a fuck what he did. John did the stuff and he cooperated. But he's a tough guy. If he wants to take over Arizona, he's going to kill some of us. Maybe one of us will be in the trunk of a car. That's his style, and he'll take over. Make an appointment for him. The appointment, we had words going back and forth. It never really happened, but this guy reported to the FBI in Phoenix, and they get in touch with the New York FBI, and the New York FBI called me up. Sammy, you're on parole. You going to go meet Joe Bonanno? And I said, yeah. The old man wanted to talk to me. I have a ton of respect for him, and I would go down and talk to him. I said it never happened. He was concerned with me, and I just told him through other people, he don't need to be concerned about me. I have no intentions of taking over Arizona. I don't give a fuck about Arizona. And I said, the only thing that would make me move, tell Joe, is that if somebody fuck with me and my family. And he sent word back, tell him, great, we appreciate the conversation, 1, and 2, if anybody fucks with you, let us know, we could help you. Now, he had cattle farm, cotton farm, so mostly legit. He was behind a couple of strip joints, so I don't know if you want to call that legit. He did some gambling stuff through other people, of course. He's the boss. He doesn't do it himself. So he had a few things going on, but you got to remember, he was chased from New York. When he left New York and went to Arizona, he left with tons. Mm-hmm. He had a lot of fucking money. So he was cool.
Is it true he lived in the same area as Paul McCartney? Like there's like waterfalls, and it's like, I guess, like a majestic area of Tucson.
I really don't know. He was down in Tucson. I don't know exactly where he lived or anything like that. The craziest thing, my parole officer came to me. When I was living in my daughter's house, and she said, do you know the guy across the street who that is? So I said, yeah, he's a young kid. He's a good kid. I talked to him. She said, he's Joe Bonanno's grandson. Did you see his license plate? I said, yeah, he's got Bonanno on the license plate. She said, yeah. You talked to him? I said, yeah, I talked to him. Boy, he's a young kid. I talked to his daughter now, her granddaughter. She's sending me messages. She wants to do an interview with me, and I'm seriously thinking about it. They're good people. I get along with them, actually. I didn't get along with his son, the one who said I was a rat. And he was, because he had a family at the time. And I think I would have got along with Joe. He was smart. He was cunning. He wasn't looking for trouble. I wasn't looking for trouble. I think it would have been an easy conversation. I would have had it on my turf where I'm comfortable, meaning I'm sitting good. Mm-hmm. And we would have sat down, maybe had a cigar, talked, shot the shit, realized after an hour or two, we're no threat to each other. We're friends, regardless of what I did. He did the same thing. He wrote a book, which is breaking the rules. At one time, Paul almost gave me a contract to come down and kill him. He changed his mind, thank God, so I didn't get it. But I think the old man was pretty good.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sammy. Ryan Brown, why do you think Frankie Botts was killed? Do you still believe Joe Watts was the guy who stabbed him to death?
Yes. I really believe Joe Watts was the guy. What happened is they were both couldn't get made because they weren't Italian on their father's end. Both of them were super tough guys. Both of them were involved in many, many hits. Castellano hit, all of it. Frankie Botts was involved too. For a while, he started getting annoyed that Joe Watts was like acting like a boss with him. And he had come to me and told me, he says, Sammy, that's not right. I'm the same as him. I'm just as tough as him. He's giving me fucking orders. Why I gotta listen to this fucking guy? So they argued a little bit. I had asked John, he wanted to be with me. And I had asked John, I said, they're not getting along that great. I would take Frankie Botts with me if it's all right with you. John said, okay. It was at my 4th of July party. I invited him to my 4th of July party, and I was going to give him the good news that from today on, you're with me. I think John may have told something to Frankie Botts, to Joe Watts. He went to his house. They argued, and The house wasn't broken into. Somebody grabbed him from behind, a friend, put his hand around his neck and started stabbing him real quick. You know, sometimes a knife is just as bad as a gun. A couple of good stabs and a guy choking you at the same exact time, you're pouring blood out. It's only a matter of time you start getting weak. They were both big, strong guys. And I still believe that's what it was. We never solved it. And Joe Watts tried to blame it on black guys, which I didn't buy. He lived in a neighborhood right not too far from where I lived. There was a black community in that area, and he tried to blame it on them. So, and when John told me that, I said, listen, bro, I went to see him there a bunch of times. He was friendly with all them guys. I was there. I seen him. They loved him. Frankie was a good, personable guy. He was good with money, took care of people. I said, I don't believe the black guys killed him. I don't think they had no reason to do that. I went there. I saw their friendship. They were tight. So I don't buy it. So, and we knew a few black guys, not me myself, but somebody else. Talked to the black guys. They were sick. They were determined to try to find out because they liked them. So I never bought that bullshit story about the black guys did it. That's bullshit. So they try to put it on them, but it wasn't true. And I think that's why he got killed. And until today, I didn't change my mind.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Thank you, Sammy. Speaking of Tucson, John Ball in the super chat. Were you ever in a situation, Sammy, where you were genuinely in fear for your life, where you thought that you were actually going to be killed?
Oh yeah, there was a bunch of times when Louis DeBono sat down with Patsy Conte. They were asking for my life because I raised my hands to Louis DeBono. And Frankie DeChico was disturbed about it. He was scared. He was worried. He told me to lie. I thought, you know, I went to the meeting with my brother-in-law. They left him in the restaurant, and they took me alone. Cars all was tinted out. I didn't think I was coming out of that meeting, but I was determined to go into it. And but yeah, there was times that I thought, you know, this could be it. When I killed the guy in the Plaza Suite, Paul ruled it as an off-the-record hit, which is killable. He didn't talk to me for 19 days. Refused to talk to me. And I used to talk to him every day with the construction and unions and everything. So, Louis Melito was terrified. Matter of fact, that's right after that, we broke up, me and Louis Melito. Louis Melito told Sammy and them, Sammy's got too much balls. He's going to get us killed. He's just too tough. And Louis gradually pulled away, and he didn't like the answer that Sammy gave him. Sammy told him, my brother-in-law did that too, said the same thing in the meeting. I was there. And Sammy, Peruta, the old man Peruta, and Louis was there too. And he said, Sammy, my brother-in-law told me, he says, you're going to be all alone on an island. Sammy jumped right in. Yeah, he's going to be all alone, but he's not going to be, he's going to be on an island maybe, but he's not going to be all alone. Peruta says, Eddie, why don't you fucking go home? This is over your head, bro. If you're nervous or scared, whoa, calm down, bro. Calm down. Guys are concerned. They're scared a little bit. There's no harm in that. You know, we're not playing. We're not kids. We're playing with guns in people's lives. Listen, let them say their point. And then I told him, Eddie, go home. Go home. Take care of my sister and take care of money. Go home. But there's times where I worried about it. I thought about it. But I never did anything. I never gave a fuck. It's like I knew some point I would be killed or go to prison for the rest of my life. I knew that was my destiny in the mafia. I stayed in the mafia. The Johnny Keys hit, when you see this comes out, it's If you think the Paul Castellano thing was ballsy, wait until you see this one. But I always did what I had to do when I stood up. You know when you really worry a lot? When you're a sneak punk bitch and you're telling lies or you're cheating, you're always wondering, I wonder if they found out. I wonder if they know. I never had that. I always was above board with my friends and people like that. So I was never worried about getting caught like that. You know, there was a couple of meetings that there was some serious shit going on, so I was concerned. And maybe a little scared if you want to say that. You know, it's normal. So that's it. I don't like now. People ask me. I had a news reporter ask me today. You live and everybody knows where you are. Aren't you afraid, right? With the news.
Oh God, yeah.
And I said no. I'm not concerned, especially now at my age. I don't even give a fuck. What am I worried about? Getting shot? Getting cancer? Getting a heart attack? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I'm not worried no more. And I didn't worry that much then. And when I was a lot younger and I came to here, I never hid. I stayed in the program 8 months to do the government a favor. But other than that, no, I'm not afraid.
Sammy, we have a super chat from Mob Entertainment Group. Sammy, do you like the Doors or any 60s psychedelic music, baby?
Baby?
Baby.
Well, I mean, in the 60s, there was a ton of good music. I liked, you know, Frankie Valli came down to my son's something. He received communion or something like that, a party, and he came down. I went to a lot of these, you know, listened to a lot of their music. I loved a lot of their music. You're going back in Sinatra and Dee Martin and all of those days. The Doors, I thought, were good. What's that other one? They sing, "Leave our kids alone."
I don't know.
No.
Sing more. Keep going. I don't know the song.
Start singing, Sammy.
Something rock in the wall.
Oh, another brick in the
Yes,
wall. Oh,
yes.
Pink Floyd.
That's Pink Floyd, right? That they were good. There was a ton of them. You know, I loved all of the black music back then. The Four Seasons and all of them.
Oh yeah. Doo-wop.
Huh?
The doo-wop.
The doo-wop.
Love the doo-wop.
Yeah. I used to watch the show every once in a while that they had. I forgot the name of it too. You know, I got in trouble in jail one time. I was watching a show, and when I was young, I got pinched with Michael Mbada and Louis Molino, and I went into the day room, and they had this show. I forgot the name of it, but there was mostly all black people. So I went in the day room, and there was like all black people. So I sat down. Huh?
Soul Train.
Soul Train. I sat down, and a couple of guys turned around, and one guy got up and he says, "Listen, you can't sit in there." I said, "Why? Why can't I sit there?" He says, "These are our women. You can't watch it." I said, "You don't look at white women?" One guy said, "Yeah, we want." No, now fuck you. I'm sitting here and I'm going to watch the show. They all sat down and like they panicked. Now, I'm not a big guy. There must have been 20 of them. So I'm looking like why the fuck are they? I turn around. My cellie was a Muslim, a Spanish guy, Mexican guy who was a Muslim. But he was fucking huge. He was about 6'4", muscled out like a bastard. And he had his arms crossed and he was standing looking at them. And then I hear him say, "He's my cellie. You fuck with him, you're fucking with me." They all sat down. They didn't. Nobody wanted to fuck with him, so they weren't afraid of me. They were afraid of him, and I stayed there and watched the whole thing. And so I love that music too. You know.
What year was Woodstock, Sammy? It's in the 60s.
Woodstock was way back in the 60s. Yeah, I was real young then.
Wow.
I wasn't in the mob. That's where the days of the Beatles and all that bullshit came out. I loved all that music too. It was great. You know, it's who's the guy the the famous guy was the king of rock and roll.
Elvis Presley?
Elvis Presley, all of them fucking... I wasn't that crazy about Elvis Presley, but, there were so many good things. What's his name? Then he became like a serious actor where he was, like a dancer, and it was like he played John Gotti in one of the movies.
Is that John Travolta?
Yeah, John Travolta.
Urban Cowboy?
Whatever it was, that other movie where he's dancing with the broad back and forth and they're moving.
Saturday Night
Fever, all them fucking bullshit things. I did all that crazy shit.
What were the big disco clubs in New York?
Oh, there was disco clubs all over the place. All over the place. That was the fair. That's what it's like. It's like hip hop is today. Mm-hmm. That's what that was back then. So It's different generations, different music, different everything.
Sammy, we are a little over time, but I want to get to a super chat from Miss Betty Ann, a very generous envelope. Oh, a wise guy, huh? Pink Floyd. Wise guy?
She's put me down for that.
She's breaking balls.
That's cool. Betty Ann is cool. I tell you, she can put me down. So I got her bananas. Hey, listen, I want to talk about, I want to give a shout out to my favorite nurse, Emily's daughter, Isabella. Happy birthday, sweetheart. I hope you have a great life. And she's I think she's 27 years old today. And the craziest thing, remember that girl Peanuts who used to work for me? Mm-hmm. She's on the same exact day. So Peanuts, to you, if you're hearing me, happy birthday to you. Miss you, love you. So 2 shout outs on birthdays and so what else?
Tell everybody to hit the like button.
Hit the like button and subscribe the shit out of this thing. Hey, I'm at 99,400,000 views on subscribers. So, views. So hit that subscribe, like buttons, and let's get to 100 million. 100 million, we're going to throw a little party. It's only 600,000 away. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not that much. And again, on ourthing.tv, bro, there's a lot of people starting to come on, and we're getting content together. I'm doing some recordings this week, right? Mm-hmm. On Wednesday, it'll come out in another week or so. Mm-hmm. So we're having all kinds of different things. Fat Andy's son, Anthony, what's his last name? Reggiano. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anthony Reggiano is coming down this week. I'm going to do a show with him. Great guy. And his father was Fat Andy. Real good guy. He goes back in the era with Tato and everybody. So I'm going to have an interview with him and all kinds of other people. And I try to have an interview with a news person. Should I talk about that?
Sure, why not? It's your channel, baby.
I try to do an interview with a news person, and this person, really done everything under the sun to get on my nerves. Trying to tweak me to argue with other people and this and that. They got all these fucking moves in it. I've been around the block too much for these fucking people, and I'm not going to mention her name. But it's a her. And so she started arguing with me. And I argued back. And finally I told her, I said, listen, fuck you and your newspaper and where, the horse you rode in on. I'm not doing an interview with you. I'm not doing nothing with you. Take a fucking walk. So I started a whole bootel this morning with it. It involved other people, called me up, and I said, listen, she's a rattlesnake. She's a snake. She's trying to con me into putting somebody down or calling me to argue with somebody. I'm not doing that. I don't do that baby shit. Mm-mm. And especially I know what you're trying to do. If you want to talk to me, you want to talk to me about the mafia. Look, you got millions of questions. Nobody's trying to jerk you around and do some stupid shit or try and catch you in something. So don't play with me, bro. I've been around the block too much. I'm fucking 78. You're not talking to some 20-year-old kid. No disrespect to 20-year-old kid, because you, sweetie, are in a pimple on these 20-year-old kids who listen to me on my shows. So, you know, I got to deal with this bullshit today.
I never seen something like that.
Huh?
I never seen something like that. That little like
it happens.
Triggering just games. I mean, I've seen it like in dysfunctional families, but like not just nice to meet you. This is our first conversation. I'm going to be a total asshole.
Yeah. And then she's telling me something about somebody who's a friend who I think very highly of.
Right.
And she wants to goat me in to say something, to use that. So the guy, now she's talking to the guy. Get the fuck out of here.
And she was lying the whole time.
I know. I know. I knew the guy, what she said, the guy said. I knew that didn't happen. I knew that wouldn't come out of his mouth.
Right.
It's not that type of guy.
No.
So.
High school. This is high school.
Yeah, high school bullshit. So, whatever. So I got into a little war this morning. Now with the media, she's got some friends in the media, so I'll probably hear from a lot of them now. Who knows? I don't know. I don't give a fuck.
Well, it just shows you what they're really about.
There's so many things that, you know, she wants to do all of this. There's kids dying all over the fucking place, whether it's drugs, being snatched, being raped, being molested. And you want to break my fucking balls about some stupid shit.
That's right.
You know? Or try to put me down. Why are you talking about it? Why am I talking about it? Because it bothers me. Why ain't you talking about it? That's the point. You're a news person. Why the fuck ain't you talking about it? So they must have heard me talking a little negative about the news, and she tried to get on my fucking nerves a little bit, which she did. But that's all she's going to get. She got on my nerves. I told her off, and I'll probably suffer a little consequences.
No, I don't think so. I don't think you'll hear from her again. And she lost the interview.
Nah,
Like,
she could have had the interview. I mean, somebody recommended, so I was willing to give her an interview. You know, she's a fucking nobody. Who the fuck is she?
Right.
So,
It's unfortunate.
well, for her.
Yeah, well, yeah.
All right. So that's about it. Is that it?
We got some super chats, but it's 2:15. Do you want to answer the super chats?
Yeah, do the super chats.
Okay. Gilbert Goobies Castro with an envelope for you. No comment, no question.
Thank you, bro.
Michael Ferreira, envelope for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Let's see. Cornelius Pryor. Haven't seen you in a while, Cornelius. Why didn't Frank Costello go to war with Vito Genovese when Vito tried to kill him?
He didn't have the power. Frank Costello was a talker, a moneymaker, a connection guy, not a racketeer, not a gangster. Vito Genovese was a gangster. Chin was a gangster. He was up against too much.
Thank you, Sammy. Long Traveler 84. Hey, Sammy, if you would have ever been boss, what major things would you have changed?
I think I would have ran it according to Cosa Nostra, the rules. There's good rules in it. The rules are good. There's some bad people in it. I would reinforce the rules, and I would treat it like what it's called, a bugada, a family. I would have treated everybody in that family as my family, just like I want to do on this. You know, the programs that I'm doing and the people who follow me, I think the world of them. How many times I get people tell me, don't answer this, that. I answer as many as I can, as much as I can, because I respect them. So if you treat people, in my opinion, if you treat people good, they'll treat you good. If you think you're a fucking tough guy, a jerk off, and a bully type of guy, nobody's going to like you. I'm very proud that I have people from 30, 40, and even 50 years ago who are in touch with me. That bartender goes back to the Plaza hit, and then some. So that's, I don't know how many fucking years ago. That's, when I was in my 30s, 40 years ago, maybe a little more than 40 years ago. So having people like that, to me, it makes me feel good. It makes me feel, how bad of a guy could you have been? Now, I did some bad shit. That's part of the life. I was a soldier in the life. And so I didn't look at it as a bad guy. But I never took advantage of people. I never hurt anybody over money, stuff like that. And I think it comes back to you. So I think I was a good guy, but I was also dangerous. I had a lion in me, and I was a soldier. When I got orders, I did what I had to do. Whether it was comfortable to do it or very uncomfortable to do it, most of the times it was very uncomfortable to do it, but I did what I had to do. And I was in the actual military. I didn't actually go. I was trained to go to Vietnam. I didn't go, but if I would have went, I would have hurt people. I would have killed people because I'm thinking I'm protecting the country and I'm doing the right thing. So I think I would have been the same way even in that era, in that time. But growing up, I had so many friends. I don't even fucking remember fights with me and my friends. I was in a million fights, but a couple were friends, but very, very rare. I wasn't that kind of a kid. I just wasn't. I was sociable. I was play with guys. We would play Johnny on the Pony. We would play with marbles. We would shoot crap. We did something. I was always just with the guys to have fun. And the girls, little girls, Lorraine Pye, Lorraine Smith, Marilyn DeMick, Barbara, all of them girls. I mean, I love playing with the girls, and I never put down girls. When I got pinched, they tried to get women to say negative shit about me, and they went crazy asking everybody. They couldn't get anybody, not one fucking person. They got people to say things, but not any of the girls, none of them. They all stood up, no, that's not him, or this or that, and they just wouldn't do it. Even some of them were told to lie, or we'll kill you. Tony Ann was told, if you don't say this, this, and this, we'll kill you. She took off. She took off and went on the lam until my cases were over and done with and everything, and came back in fear. I found out in prison, when I was in prison, I was reaching out, growling at this fucking fat huck. I hurt one hair on her fucking head. First thing I'll do when I come home is not go home. I'll come right to your house, bro. Hurt one fucking hair on her head. But I think I had a pretty good life. Is there things I would change? Of course. I think everybody, there's certain things you would change. But I love the life. That woman today, she says, well, what are you now? What am I now? I'm a gangster. I was always a gangster. I was a gangster all my fucking life. What am I, a priest now?
Amen, Sammy. Amen.
Yeah.
We have another one from Betty Ann. A song request for Sammy. Heart, heart, heart. Please, my favorite. Gabba Gabba Goo.
How does it start? I don't remember.
Betty Ann, how does it start? Which song? Which song? Let's see if she comments. Okay, let's see.
No, give me that song. I got to do Betty Ann a favor.
Okay. Betty Ann, what's the song, babe? Let's see if she
I know in the song, when he sings, it says, "Hey, compadre, it was sonare." And then at one point he says, "And a gabba gabba goo." And I think that's Is that what you want to hear, Betty Ann?
She said, "Treat me like a fool."
Oh, treat me like a fool. Yeah. Gabba gabba goo.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let's see. Scott H. Hi, Sammy. I love your show. Were football parlay cards run by the mob? Thanks.
What was it about?
Were football parlay cards run by the mob?
I don't know.
I have no clue.
No clue.
Maurice with a weekly envelope. No question, no comment.
Thank you, Maurice.
Thanks, Maurice. Let's see. Ryan Brown with another super chat. Sammy, thoughts on Richie Gotti? I heard Peter inducted him after John went away. Would John have ever really made him? I heard John used to abuse him.
Richie Gotti. No, I don't think. I think he made him. He made some of them. John, I think, was starting to get worried at the end. He made guys who didn't belong to have a little army of family around him. His son-in-law, Carmine, he might be a tough guy with his hands. I don't know, but he worked in a yard where they do cars and all kinds of bullshit. He made him. A lot of guys were surprised, but it's not that he's a bad guy. He wasn't a bad guy. Carmine's a pretty decent guy, but he didn't belong in the life. He made his son John Jr. John Jr.'s own words said, I didn't belong in the life. So Richie Gotti's another guy. If they did make him, I don't know if John okayed it. He probably had to okay it. He didn't belong in the life. Peter Gotti could have been made, and that's it. He worked in the club, got your coffee, got this. Then he made him a captain. Then he made him an underboss. Then he made him the boss. Are you fucking joking? Now, no knock to garbage men. I know a lot of garbage men. They work hard. They're tough guys, family men. He's a garbage guy all his life. You're not a gangster. So you're putting the guy in where he don't belong. Maybe, cutting the game, get somebody coffee, do that. Like Spider in that movie. Mm-hmm. But I don't know why John made some of those guys. And worst, nothing good happened for them. He wrecked his whole family. They all got pinched. They all went to jail at one time or another. Peter Gotti, I think, Godzilla's son, Peter Gotti.
Godzilla. Sloth.
I think he died in prison.
From the Goonies.
Yeah. I think he died in prison. John died in prison. John Jr. got out, thank God for him. Richie Gotti, I mean, the guy was dumb as wood. And I said this once before, and I hate to say that. So, Richie, I'm sorry. But look in the mirror. You know you're a dumb fuck. I'm not trying to put you down. He's just a dumb fuck. You didn't belong. When he worked for Louis DeBono abused the shit out of him. And he sent me, John, to go talk to Louis DeBono. I said, Louis, you're treating the guy like a complete jerk-off. He said, Sammy, what do you want me to do? He is a jerk-off. I said, I know, but he's the boss's brother. So give him a day's pay and send him home 12 o'clock lunchtime. Let him go home. But he used to mop the floors for Louis DeBono. How do you make this guy? But John did what he had to do. So there's a lot of people, and now they make guys, I don't even know why. I hear guys who got made now. I don't even want to say nothing, but I don't know. If it was Custard's last stand and I was Custard, I would tell the guy, get the fuck away from me, go away, go home.
I can't with you, Sammy. Okay, 2 last super chats. Sean Deaver, 77. Sammy, I understand why your favorite car is a 63 Impala Super Sport. My neighbor has one and it's a badass ride. I got a 65 Cutlass Oldsmobile. Come to Kentucky and we'll let you drive them. Love you, bro.
Love you too. Listen, if you see the way I drive, you won't make me drive your car.
Oh, my God. Getaway driver every single time. We could be going to Circle K, and it's like...
that one time, let me tell this quick story. I was with Peanuts in the car, and I drive rough. I never... If I'm selling my car, it's a used car, don't buy it. Believe me, don't buy it. I'm rough on cars. So I'm on a highway, and I'm doing about 75, maybe 80. And Peanuts is in the car. She says, you're speeding. There was one of those cars that they put, trucks that they put the cars on, they stack them up, and so the tailgate was way down. there was not only a couple of cars on the bottom. The tailgate was way down. So I said, listen, this is what I used to do in the mob. Watch this. She says, what? I said, I'm going to step on the gas. We're going to go right up the plank, right over the top of the truck. And when we land in the front, we're going to go right ahead of the traffic. No, don't do that. And I hit the gas. She started screaming.
Oh, my God.
Peanuts was a lot of guys knew her. She was a little tiny thing, and she was so lovable. And she started screaming, putting her feet up on the thing. Don't. Like I was really going to do that. So,
oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's her birthday, too.
Oh, happy birthday, Peanuts. We hear all good things about you here.
No, she was great.
John Carl in the Super Chat. Sammy, I just want to know what's your opinion on the new World Trade Center building? I still prefer the Twin Towers, and most Americans back in the 2000s wanted the two to be rebuilt, including me.
It was hard to rebuild that, and they tried to make a monument to all the people who died there. So I get their point. And I think I mean, I was never there. I'm not allowed back in New York, but I was never there. But it goes way up, and it's a monument. They got big river water down in there, and all these things on the inside. You could see a fireman's helmet or a cop's badge and his outfit. And for the people who died, you gotta remember, we lost 3,200 people, I think, that day in that place. Hardworking fucking people. Mm-hmm. See, these are the things that they disgust me. This is the kind of murder, or you want to fight a war, go fucking fight a war. These were just regular people, men and women. Some of them went to work with their kids. So they tried to build a monument. I think they made a little bit of a statement about it, which is good. If that was their intent, maybe the other building is better looking. I don't know. I didn't see it up close. But I hope they did make a statement about it. And it's now standing as a monument to those 3,200 people. So I take my hat off to whoever thought of that and did that. The workers who put their heart and soul in there, firemen, cops, and all those people who lost their lives. I take my hat off for that, man. It hits me right in the heart. It really does. So I hope it looks good. Someday, maybe if I'm able to visit New York, I could pass it. I want to see it because I grew up with those Twin Towers. I was in prison when it actually blew up in MCC, New York, a couple of miles away from the place. And it was sickening. All the prisoners, you had to see all the prisoners were numb. Even the guards, they would come over and say, Sammy, did you hear what happened? And to other people, all talking to each other. Then they had recreation on the roof. Now the roof, I was on the 11th floor. It's actually the 12th floor. It's on the roof of the 11th. And we went out, you look out the screen, and the buildings were gone. Everybody stood there, silent, not in prayer or anything like that. It's like stunned, like, oh my God, they're not there no more. It was amazing, amazing experience. And you could smell it inside the prison, the fire, the smoke. So they didn't let us out right away. Stood in a couple of days, and then we wanted to get some fresh air. And they made us go out for rec on the roof. Amazing, amazing to look out there. I'll never forget looking out that screen, and those two buildings weren't there no more. Incredible.
Now, were you guys watching the news in prison, reading the papers?
Yeah,
How did you guys learn more and
it
more?
was in the papers, on the news. I mean, it was nonstop. And the guards would come in. They would talk to us. Some of them guards when their shift ended, they would get undressed and they would go and help and dig and do things. So many people helping each other. Wow. That's the only beautiful thing about that is I saw men, women, white, black, Hispanic, Asian. I don't give a fuck, straight, gay. Everybody got together. It's a sorry thing that it takes something like that for us all to get together. I wish we would do that now. Mm-hmm. And it's not Twin Towers. It's not an attack. It's inside. We're being attacked by the inside people. I wish we would stick together again and fight that off. Or this country, we're gonna collapse. A lot of people don't think that's possible. Rome was an empire, they collapsed. Every country that was an empire collapsed. You don't think we're gonna collapse? I think you're crazy. We're gonna. They're telling us, the vice president yesterday, I watched the video, and she's on there, and she's gonna talk. She's on a podium, and she said, it's a great thing that we're doing, me and Joe Biden. We have electric cars coming down the road, all electric windmills, and we're going to reduce the population. And we'll be able to breathe cleaner air and drink cleaner water. And everybody was applauding. What? How are you going to reduce the population? The pandemic? I mean, and people are clapping for her. What are we, on drugs? She's telling you we're going to reduce the population. Nobody turned around, they're clapping. Instead of clapping and say, wait a minute, whoa, hold up. Let me see it again. You're going to reduce the population of the United States. Well, how are you going to do that? I know the mob would shoot you. These people are not the mob. They're 50,000 times worse. They're planning another pandemic. They're going to kill us. And I say, why they're worse than us? They don't give a fuck about men, no old age, color, race, nothing like that. Women and children. They're going to kill us. They're telling you point blank. She didn't stutter. Look at that video. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. I think it's time. And if what's crazy that when the women, gotta go to the bedroom, they say, I gotta go pee. They don't talk like men. Me, I gotta take a piss. If I don't stop and take a piss right now, you're gonna see like a hose thing coming up. So listen, guys, love yous all. Don't forget, join me on our thing, .tv. Love all you guys. Adios, motherfuckers.
Like button.